Hi, welcome to Code. So in this episode of LeetCode series, we are going to solve the 771st question, which is jewels and stones. It's a very simple LeetCode question, but let's get started anyway. So a given strings jewels representing the types of stones that are jewels. So we are given two strings. One is jewels and the other is stones. Okay. So each of these strings is of course a collection of characters, and each of these characters represent either a jewel or a stone. Okay, so let me make this clear. Each character in stones is a type of stone you have. Okay, so these are the stones that we have in hand. Okay, so you want to know how many of the stones that you have are also jewels. So you have n number of stones. Out of these n stones, some are jewels. You want to count how many of these stones are jewels. So how do we know which is jewel and which is not a jewel? For that, we have the jewel strings. In this jewel strings, we are given a set of characters which are jewels. Okay, and they are also given to us that the letters are case sensitive, which means small a is different from capital A. Both of these are different stones. Okay, so moving on to the example. So here we are given the string stones. So A. So this is a sample example of the stones that we have. And out of these stones, small a and capital A, both of these stones are jewels. Okay, so we have to count the number of jewels we have. So let's do that manually first of all. So we have small a here. So how many small a do we have here? We have one small a. So jewel count is 1. And we have a capital A here. So how many capital A do we have? We have 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. So total jewel count is 3. So that would be the answer for this question. But how would we make the computer do this? Similarly of how we did. So we'll take the stones like this. So this is a jewel and this is a stone. That is how we differentiated this. Okay. So we'll traverse this array and check whether each of these stones are present in the jewels. So for example, this represents the jewel count. Okay. So starting with this, whether the given A stone is present in the jewels. So whether it is present in the jewel, yeah, it is present. So we'll increment the counter by 1. Okay. Moving on to the next stone, whether E is present in the jewels. So first we'll check whether E is equal to A. No, it is not equal to A. Moving on to the next number, E is equal to capital A. No, it is not. So we'll move to the next iteration, which is to the next element or the next stone. We'll again search whether capital A is equal to small a. No, capital A is equal to capital A. Yes. We'll repeat this for loop again and again until we reach the end. Okay, so this is one approach of course, but this takes order of n square approximately if the number of stones and the number of jewels are equal to n. Okay, or you can either say it as m into n approach. The number of stones is m and the number of jewels is n, so m into n. Okay, so that is a very big number or a very big time complexity. So we want to reduce that to order of n. So how do we do that? There comes our hash set. So the hash maps and hash set are usually used in order to convert n square approach in order to an n approach. So here we are going to use a hash set. So where does this hash set come in and how do we use that? So essentially what we are doing here is for each of these number we are checking whether the number or the character is present in jewels or not. In order to check whether it is present in jewels or not, we are using n, or that is we are taking the time complexity of order of n. In order to reduce that, we are using a hash set. So by using a hash set, we are reducing the time complexity from order of n to order of 1. So in order to check whether the element is a jewel or not, if we take just order of 1, the total time complexity would become order of n into 1, which is order of n itself. And that is how we reduce the time complexity. Okay. So using a hash set. How do we use a hash set? We just take this string jewels and convert it into a hash set. So with this hash set with us right now, we'll be able to find whether the given character is present or not, whether it's contained in the hash set or not in order of 1. So now we'll take this new hash set and the stones array. Okay, now we'll traverse this array itself. We'll have A first of all. A is present in the hash set or not? Yeah, it's present in the hash set. So increment the counter. So its counter incremented to 1. Now whether E is present in the hash set or not? No, we do not have E. So the counter is not incremented. Moving on to the next element, A. Whether A is present in the hash set? Yeah, it's present. Increment the counter. Move on to the next element. A is present in the hash set? Yeah. increment the counter, move on to the next element. E, not present. So now we have come to the end of this stones array. So we'll just return the value of count that we have stored now. So this is the number of jewels that we have, and as we saw earlier, this is the right answer. So this is how we solve this question using a hash set in the time complexity of order of n. Okay, I hope you got that logic out of it. Now we'll take a step into the algorithm of this code. The first step is to create the hash set for the jewel string that we have. So we'll create a hash set and then add all of these characters into the hash set. Okay, and then we'll declare the jewel count equal to 0. Okay, so initially the jewel count is 0 and we'll increment if we find a jewel. Now traverse the stones, and if the stone is present in the jewel, that is the hash set that we have created, increment the jewel count. So repeat this process. How do we repeat? Traverse the stones, check whether it is jewel. If it is jewel, increment. Again, move to the next element. If it is jewel, increment, move to the next element. If it is jewel, increment, move to the next element. Similarly, we'll just repeat this loop until we reach the end of the stones array. Okay, so this is the logic that we are going to use. Now let's move to LeetCode and solve this given question. So before we do that, if you love our content, please do subscribe to Code.io. And now let's move on to LeetCode. So here we have the function number of jewels in stones. Okay, so we are given two strings, jewels and stones, and we would have to return the integer here. So integer is the jewel count that we have. Okay, so let's first start by creating a hash set. So a hash set, and this is gonna store character. So character. Okay, so character, and the name of the set is set itself. So set is equal to new hash set of. Okay, so that is our first step. The second step is to declare the jewel count as 0. Jewel count is equal to 0. Okay, so now first we need to add all the elements or the jewels into the hash set. For that, we'll just traverse the given jewel string. So character I colon jewels dot to character array of. Okay, so we traverse this given jewels and add them into the hash set. So how do we add it? Set dot add of I. That's it. So we'll repeat this loop until we reach the end of the jewels, of course, and we'll add all the jewels into the set itself. Now what do? We traverse the stones array now. So character I colon stones dot to character array of. Okay, now what do? We need to check whether the given stone is a jewel or not. For that, we have the hash set itself. So we have a function in hash set called contains of. So set dot contains of I. So this gives us a boolean value in return, whether the value is present in the hash set or not, and this is being performed in order of 1 time complexity. So set dot contains of I, and if it is present, then what do you have to do? We have to increment the value of jewel count. So jewel count plus plus, and if it is not present, we'll just move on to the next element. So after the end of this for loop, at last we would have traversed all these stones, and for each of these stones we have to increment the value of jewel count if it were a jewel. Finally, we just have to return the jewel count, and that will be our answer. Now let's run this code and verify our output. We'll first check whether we have any syntax errors here. No, it runs perfectly. Now let's submit this code and verify for all the other test cases that LeetCode has to offer. So congratulations, we have successfully solved the question of jewels and stones. So if you have any doubts, please drop down in the comments, and if you love this video, please drop a like and subscribe to Code.io. We'll see you in the next episode of the LeetCode series. Until then, bye bye.